Hello, everyone. Welcome to the free tutoring sessions sponsored by Geo's Math Tutoring. I will go over random problems if needed, if no one joins. So just stay tuned or wait for a bit. Okay, so for the meantime, we could start going over a few things that many students I seem that seem to struggle with, especially like solving for x and factoring. So I want to start with a little bit of those. So if you'd like, you could copy these questions and follow along. So let's start with a little bit of solving for x. Well, in this case, it could be solving for any letter, but let's just start with some basic stuff like solving for x. So let's say you wanted to solve for x, right? And let's say you had a problem like 3x plus 1 equals 10. So now remember, whenever you're solving for a letter, solving for a letter in simple terms basically means you want to get that letter by itself. What do we mean by itself? Is that your final answer, you want it to just be x equals, and then whatever you get, like it could be a number or it could be more letters on the right side. It could be anything on that side, right? We don't care what it is, right? Because you could be solving for numbers or letters, but solving for it means you want it to be by itself on the left side, like this by itself. X equals, you don't want no negatives in the front. You don't want it to have a square. You don't want it to have a number in the front. You don't want it to have it over a fraction. You don't want none of that. You want it to just be x equals to a number. That's or letters, whatever you're solving for. That's the goal. That's when we mean solve for x. So whenever we're talking about an equation, you want to think of this equal sign as like a wall that separates both sides, right? You have your left side and you have your right side. So the goal is to get the x by itself on whichever side you want. You could always flip these around. I mean, I'll talk about those at some other point. But for now, let's work with this. So we want to get the x by itself. Wherever your letter is at, that is the side you will be focusing on. So my x is on the left side. So we look at this problem, right? That means we're going to be focusing on the left part of the equation because that's where my x is at. ignore the right side for now. Like that the way when you're solving for letters, you want to focus on the side where your letter is at. So now to start solving this problem, this is how we get to it. First, we want to get rid of that positive one. All right. Always start with anything around. Always leave the letter part to itself. Even if it has numbers or it's a fraction, anything else, always leave the X part to the end. Okay. So that means we will first start by getting rid of this positive one. Whenever you're working with equations to get rid of a number or a letter, always do the opposite. So now this one, this is a positive one. All right. Every single number out there has a sign. All right. It's either positive or negative. Everything out there. You could even talk about your age. If you're 20 years old, okay, well, that's a positive 20. All right. So every number out there has a sign. So this is a positive one. So to get rid of this positive one, I am going to do the opposite, which is subtract one. Whatever you do to this side, you're also gonna do it to the right side. Think of like a scale, right? You have a scale, I don't know, like something like this, right? You have a scale, and like let's say this is 10 pounds right here, and this is 10 pounds here. You want to keep this level, right? Because it's an equation. Like the left side is equal to the right side, so it's an equation. So, like, imagine I would remove 1 pound from here. Now I'm left with 9. Well, I need to do that to here too. Take away 1, so I'll be left with 9. If I take away 5 from here, then I also need to take away 5 from here because we want the scales to be even. That's why it's called an equation, because it's equal. The left side equals the right. Same thing as here. The left side equals the right. Think about it like that. So, okay, I subtracted 1 from both sides. So let me just write down now what we're left with. This 3x, I haven't done anything to it. I'm just going to bring down the 3x. Plus 1 minus 1, these will just cancel out. Bring down the equal sign. 10 minus 1, that is 9. Okay. Now, the next thing we do is this 3, we want to get rid of this 3 because, like mentioned earlier, we want the x to be by itself. So to get rid of this 3, I am going to divide both sides by 3. So if I divide both sides by 3, these are going to cancel. Normally, well, actually 100% of the time, whenever you're dividing by the exact same number that's in front of the x, right? So whatever's in front of the x, that's what you're always going to divide by, and these will always cancel regardless of what it is. Excuse me. So these cancel out, and you're left with x equals 9 divided by 3. That would just be 3. And that will be that answer. All right, and there it is. X is by itself. My final answer is x equals 3. You could go always back in and plug it into x, and see if it's the correct solution. Let me go actually and show you how to do that. Just let's say you're taking a test or you're doing something and you just want to be 100% sure is the correct answer. So what you do is, let me just rewrite the equation again. So it's 3x plus 1 equals 10. All you're going to do is just whatever your answer was, which was 3, you're just going to replace it into this x right here. When you replace something, normally you want to replace it inside of parentheses. So what we're going to have is we are going to have 3 parentheses 3 plus 1 equals 10. 3 parentheses 3, that just means multiplication. So we will multiply 3 times 3, that is 9. Bring down the positive 1, bring down the equal sign. 9 plus 1 is 10, and then we have 10 equals 10. This is true, right? The left side is equal to the right side. So this checks off, 10 equals 10. So that is how we know this answer is correct. It checked out. Okay, let's go ahead and set up another equation problem, and you could actually try this one on your own. Just go ahead and, well, we're live right now, but go ahead and pause the video, work it out, and then you could follow along with me. So let's say you had something like 5x plus 6 equals 21. Go ahead and pause the video, work this problem out, and then hit play, and you can follow along. So again, our goal is to get the x by itself, right? So again, think about this. This equals what's splitting both sides. We have the left side, we have the right side. Our x is on the left side. So we want to focus on getting the x by itself, right? Always leave the whole x part to the end, whatever's with that x, whether it's 5x or it's a fraction, leave that part to the end. Therefore, we want to get rid of that positive 6 first. So you start by subtracting 6 on both sides. You are going to get 5x equals 15. You then could go ahead and divide both sides by 5. Because remember, you always you're doing the opposite. And in the last part, to get rid of the 5, these are connected. That's one thing I would say. So you divide. These get canceled out, and you're left with x equals 3. And that is my final answer. On this one, I'm not going to plug it in and check. You could have done that on your own, but it does work. It should work. X equals 3 because it's going to be 5 times 3 is 15, and 15 plus 6 will be 21. Okay, let's try another equation. I'll let you try this one. This time I am going to make some of the numbers negative. This way you could practice now adding to both sides. So let's say you had a problem like negative 2x minus 7 equals, let's say, 13. Okay, you could go ahead and stop the video and see if you could work this problem out. But okay, first thing again, this is your separates both sides. We are focusing on solving for x, so we're going to be working with the left side, and we are going to leave that x part to the end. So we first want to start by getting rid of that negative 7. So again, when you're getting rid of numbers or letters, depending on what you're working with, you are always doing the opposite. So we are going to plus 7 on both sides. And again, why are we doing plus 7? Because this is a negative 7. You always want to do the opposite. So we plus 7 on both sides. These are going to cancel out, and you're left with negative 2x equals 13 plus 7 is 20. From here, we continue working on this. We want to solve for x. Now, a lot of people get confused right here. They're like, oh, this is a negative 2, I have to add. No. Anytime you have any situation, you can look right here on the right side. If you have any situation where you have, like, for example, a number is connected to the letter, it's always division because these are being multiplied. This is really 2 times x, which is 2x. So remember, you're doing the opposite. That's why you're doing the division. But if you don't want to think about it like this, just remember whenever you have a number and a letter connected, like with no sign in between, like they are just connected, you are always dividing. You could even have something like negative 3x. These are still connected, so it means you're still going to divide by whatever's in the front. You could have negative 7x. You still divide because these are connected. But if you had something like negative 7 plus x, then this is no longer division because they are being separated by that sign, either a plus or a minus. If they're separated, you don't divide. But if they are connected, right? Actually, I'll leave this for future reference. But if they are connected, anything, negative 6x, oh, you divide. 10x, oh, you divide, right? These are connected. So always keep that in mind. So that is the same situation we have in this problem. You have negative 2x. These are connected. So you will divide both sides by negative 2. The negative 2's are going to cancel out with the negative. Everything cancels top down. So you are left with x equals, And now 20 divided by negative 2 will be negative 10. And that is your answer. All right, let's try a few more of these problems. So let's say you had, let's do another equation. Again, I'm going to mix it up a little more, but still keeping it basic with things on the left side. Let's say you had negative 6 plus 4x equals negative, let's say 30. All right, feel free to stop the video and work this problem out. So the way we work this problem out is, again, where whatever side our letter is at, that's the side we're focusing on. So that means we're focusing on the left side of the equation. And again, I'm asking that because sometimes it could be that your x is on the right side, and then now you're focusing on that, depending on the type of problem. But you always want to focus on the side where your letter is at. So on this one, we're focusing on the left side. We are always going to leave the x part to the end. So the 4x, I'm not worried about that first. We want to first start with that negative 6. So to get rid of that negative 6, I first start by adding 6 on both sides. So these will cancel out. I'm left with 4x equals negative 30 plus 6 will be negative 24. And then now, again, the last final part, you are just going to divide both sides by 4. These cancel out, and you will be left with x equals negative 6. And this one, I'll show you, we'll plug it in. So I'm going to plug it into the original equation, which is negative 6 plus 4. We're going to replace the x with parentheses, negative 6. And then we have equals negative 30. Start working this out. We have negative 6. Positive 4 times negative 6, we have this in parentheses. This will be negative 24. Negative 6 minus 24 will be negative 30. So how do you know it works out? Because the left side matches the right side, right? We get negative 30 equals, so that means it's correct. If you would have got something like negative 27 equals negative 30, then this will tell you, oh no, this answer is wrong. But since the left side matches the right side, that means we are correct. So x equals negative 6 is our final answer. All right, and that will be all for today's video. There will be a worksheet attached on the right side. Feel free to print it out, and then you could just follow along as well. All right, thank you all.